Hello my friends, welcome back to another weekend reading vlog. I am so glad that you're here with me this weekend. I have some really fun things in store. I have no plans this weekend, no obligations, nowhere to be, nothing. These are kind of my favorite weekends, I'm not gonna lie. I am very much an introvert. I am very much a homebody. Most of you already know that. I thought I would try something a little bit different this time. Of course, this will be a normal weekend reading vlog. I do have a book I'm reading currently that I'll talk about, and then one that I have planned to start reading. I thought it would be fun to do a weekend specifically revolving around some of my favorite cozy hobbies. So I'm thinking this will be kind of like a normal weekend reading vlog mixed in with a lot of recommendations for cozy hobbies. Maybe I will inspire you to try something new. Maybe you also like these hobbies, so it'll just be fun to watch. Either way, I'm really looking forward to it and I think it'll be a lot of fun. The plan is to do a couple of my favorite hobbies, and then along the way I will share some recommendations of things that I personally love when doing these hobbies. I'll link everything down below. It'll all be linked so you can check it out too if you want to. This is how I normally honestly spend a lot of my weekends, doing these things when I can. So I figured why not do it a little bit more in depth and share in detail how I like doing these hobbies. That is the plan for this weekend. I wish I could show you guys a clip of Scout right now. He's sitting on the couch right over there and he's just slowly falling asleep. It's so cute. If he's still there after I'm done filming this clip, I will show you. It's so adorable. Anyway, let me quick chat about the reading that's happening this weekend. Here's what I currently have compiled. I've been reading The Lost Apothecary this weekend. I have like an hour left of this audiobook, so I am nearly done with this. When I'm done, I'll go ahead and share my thoughts, but I am enjoying it more than I thought I would, so it's promising. Here are the two books that I picked up to possibly read this weekend. I'm not 100% sure. I'm leaning towards What Lies in the Woods, but I don't know if there's an audiobook version of this out yet. So this depends on if the audiobook is out. Listening to audiobooks is my favorite way to also do a lot of these different hobbies. I think honestly most of them you can also do while listening to audiobooks. So that's why I enjoy doing a handful of the hobbies that I do. I also am very intrigued about this one, Magic Steeped in Poison by Judy Island. I got this as a birthday present from my really sweet friend Summer. If you do not watch Summer's videos, if you don't follow her on Instagram, you have to. I just have to take this moment to gas her up because I love her. I think she's so sweet. I really like her. A whole aesthetic. You will like her, I promise. So I have her linked below. Go check her out. But anyway, she sent me this book for my birthday and it's just gorgeous. Like, first of all, it's just stunning. This one seems really fun too, and I have been getting a little bit more into fantasy lately. I won't say a lot, but just like a smidgen. So this one's very much intriguing me, and I think it's like about like magic and tea, which just sounds wonderful. That is what is in store for reading. As for right now, I need to head back to work, finish up my workday, and then I will check back in with what I plan on doing tonight. I'm very excited about it. Okay, let me show you Scout. He looks so cute. This was literally my view that whole video. His sweet little face, just looking out the window and falling asleep. What do you see, Scout? Oh, look at that tail. It's currently 7:30. Before I get into the cozy hobby that I have planned for the evening, I wanted to talk about the book that I just finished, which was The Lost Apothecary. This is by Sarah Penner. I actually ended up really liking this book, which was surprising for me. I honestly didn't think I would enjoy it that much. I ended up settling on giving it 4 stars. I tend to change my star readings after a few weeks and like the book has sat with me longer, but my initial rating for it is 4 stars. This is one of those books that I personally think is just objectively good. For my enjoyment, I would say it's more of a 3-star. It just, this genre in general is not typically one that I enjoy as much as others, but objectively, this book is just good. It's a good story. If you don't know what this book is about, it's a dual timeline story. We're following two separate stories, but obviously they coincide with one another. The first story that we're learning about is back in 18th century London. There is this mysterious woman who basically on the down low gives poisons to women to kill their husbands who have been unfaithful, made them mad. For whatever reason. She runs this like apothecary poison shop, and we're following her story, how she got to be where she is, and it's kind of this like underground network. She's sort of hidden away in this really dark space where it's hard to find. It's like in this back alley. And then one day at her shop, a 12-year-old girl shows up who is going on behalf of the lady that she waits on to get some poison. You know the drill. The second story we're following is 200 years later, so in modern times. A woman who just found out that her husband cheated on her is in London for their 10th anniversary. They had a wedding anniversary planned. She's there in London on the trip. He is not. She's there to grieve, process, and we're following her through her journey. While she is in London, she discovers this little tincture bottle that an old poison would have been in, and I think you can kind of like connect the dots. I loved the parallels between the two stories. I thought the pacing of this book was really well done. I was never bored, not once, and I'm really glad I ended up enjoying it. I definitely would recommend checking it out if you haven't, or if you've been putting it on the back burner like I have. Also, it's just beautiful. This book is so beautiful. Okay, so now I have these two books that I am gonna read one of. Let me see if What Lies in the Woods is on any audiobooks. She's on Scribd. I'm so happy. I don't have to use an Audible credit. So I'm going to be reading What Lies in the Woods by Kate Alice Marshall. I'm very excited to read this. If any of you have kind of been around my channel for a while, when I was part of a book club, we read The Forgetting, or what's it called? Oh, Rules for Vanishing. I was very wrong. I think it was our first book we ever read for the book club. I hated it. Hated it. I just didn't enjoy it. So I'm hesitant to pick this one up, but I'm hoping that I'm gonna enjoy it. It says they were 11 when they sent a killer to prison. They were heroes, but they were liars. It's a story about three girls who, when they were younger, they were playing in the woods. One of them gets attacked but survives. They end up identifying a guy, sending him to prison. He ended up going to prison for killing other women, but they were liars and there's some secret, and they kept the secret for a very long time. Definitely sounds up my alley. I'm very excited to check this out. I'm just nervous about the writing because I did not like Rules for Vanishing. So we will see. Now on to the hobby of the evening, which I am so excited about because I just got some new ones. I am going to be working on a puzzle. I really enjoy puzzles. My mother is the puzzle queen. She loves puzzles. Like, let me tell you, the way I am with books is how she is with puzzles. I forgot how many she has at this point. If she watches this video, she should comment it down below. She's got a lot of puzzles, okay? It's like all she does. I definitely have to take my time in between puzzles. I also learned recently a lesson with puzzles, and it's that you should really do puzzles of artwork that you're drawn to. That sounds very like, yeah, duh. But I think it's really easy to like go on Amazon, search puzzles, find a bunch and be like, oh, this looks like a good brand. It looks like a popular one. One size fits all, it's whatever. But I have done that. I have puzzles by a bunch of different artists and brands and all that stuff. I am not as invested in doing those puzzles. I have stopped and started way too many to, I think, finally come to the conclusion that it's because I'm just not drawn to the art. So my biggest tip, if it even is that, maybe I'm just the only person who didn't realize this at the time, but find puzzles of artwork that you really, really like, that you're excited to work on, that you're excited to look at and get into, because that's going to be much more motivating than just doing some boring old puzzle because it's the most popular choice on Amazon or it's the only available option at Target. You get the gist. So I just got 2 new puzzles from Amazon. These will all be linked in the description, but these are so beautiful and I'm so excited to work on them. Here's the first one. It's so fun. It's so fun. I'm also very much drawn to puzzles that kind of segment their colors. Makes it a little bit easier if you're more of a beginner puzzler. You're gonna want to pick up more puzzles like this where it's easier to identify the colors, do it in smaller chunks, stuff like that. The one that I'm going to start though, which is definitely going to be much more of a challenge for me, but it's so gorgeous, I can't stop staring at it, is this really beautiful pink fruit one. It's so cute and it's so pink. Like I said, it's for sure going to be a challenge because a lot of the colors are obviously so similar, but I'm really excited for this one. I think it's just going to be a great time. Step one of this hobby: get puzzles that you like, of art that you like. I will list a couple of other brands that I recommend down below. Obviously, there are some really good ones on Amazon that you can find, but there's also Jiggy Puzzles has really beautiful puzzles. They're a little bit more expensive, but they're also intended for you to glue together and frame at the end. Reverie Puzzles, for every book lover out there. If you love books, if you love art about books, Reverie Puzzles, gorgeous. And then I think the other brand is Puzzly? Puzzly. I'll definitely link it. That also has some really good options as well. And honestly, all you really need to do a puzzle is a hard surface, tabletop, coffee table, anything like that. For those of you that have pets or maybe children, I like to have something that I can either kind of hide or put cardboard on top of or a blanket on top of, something to cover. Because when I go to bed at night, my cats like to jump on my puzzle and knock it off the table. Especially Misha, of course she does. I definitely recommend getting some kind of cover. They're also really cool like mats that you can roll up and keep the puzzle in. You can also then like transport it to different places, which is fun. There's like carrying cases where it like sandwiches your puzzle and it keeps it secure. I don't really use those, but I have this one purchase that is super unnecessary, but I'm really glad I have it. It's pretty expensive, but I used a gift card on it. Whatever. It's this really great but big and sturdy puzzle desk. It's really big. I'll get some B-roll of it so I don't look crazy. But yeah, it's this tiny little desk with drawers, as you can see in this terrible shot, and legs. And it's meant to go on the floor and place your puzzle on. I've been able to successfully fit any 1,000 piece puzzle that I've done on this, I think with room to spare, so it's definitely large, but I love it. Okay, I am gonna go ahead and actually make myself a hot chocolate because that sounds so good. I have such a sweet tooth tonight and hot chocolate sounds perfect. So that's what I'm gonna make. I'm gonna get ready, I'm gonna get my puzzle out, I'm gonna start my audiobook, and we are gonna have a very cozy night. It is probably around 10:30. I made it through 7 chapters out of I think like 40 of this book so far. I don't have a lot of thoughts. So far it's very unassuming, it's very predictable. We're getting to know each of the friends as they are adults, and already there are kind of like secrets coming out. They are all back in their hometown where this incident took place, and the 3 of them are getting together, talking about it. I don't want to give any spoilers, so I won't say much more. It's okay, nothing crazy. But I think I'm gonna call it a night for vlogging, and tomorrow is a new day. So good night. Hello, happy Saturday. It is currently almost 2 p.m. It's been a bit of a slow day so far. Andrew and I both slept in. I woke up with a slight cold, or the beginning of a cold, which Andrew had a cold earlier this week, so I feel like it was inevitable, but I'm still unhappy about it. Andrew and I have recently been really enjoying board games. If you watched my birthday vlog, you would have seen that we went to this board game cafe place for my birthday and we both really liked it. I've enjoyed board games for a long time. It's certainly been like a hobby of mine since I was in high school. I used to host these like board game nights with my friends where we would drink like root beer floats and play board games for like 3 hours, and it was the best. But I don't have a lot of board game friends. Andrew is not huge into board games, which is a bummer, but he's willing to play with me, which is super sweet. Anyway, that is the next hobby that we're talking about. I'm not the kind of board game player where it takes like a lot of strategy and intense and it goes on for hours and hours and hours. I'm not a competitive person. Any board games that I do play have to be relatively just fun and enjoyable and not too like intense. I also really appreciate fun artwork. I mean, you guys know the aesthetics. Here are a few of my favorites. I'll quickly go through them. Granted, 2 of these I have yet to play, but they are 2 favorites that I own and that I really do want to play. The first one that I wanted to show you guys, I feel like you would really appreciate. It's the Tea Dragon Society card game. This is a really popular like children's book, but a lot of people in the book community have also read it, and it's just it's so cute, and I just need friends to play this game with me because I have a feeling it's going to be really easy, and I have a feeling it's going to be really freaking adorable. It's ages 10 and up, 2 to 4 players, 30 to 60 minutes, my kind of game. I want to play it so bad. If you're looking for a fun card game, I always recommend Monopoly Deal. This is so much more fun than actual Monopoly. It's way more easy to play, and it's just enjoyable. This is one I've been playing since high school as well, and I love this one. This is the other one that I have yet to play, but I got it last year for Christmas, and I want to play it so bad. It's called Parks, and let's just take a moment. I mean, how beautiful. It's really stunning. Ages 10 and up as well, 40 to 70 minutes, 1 to 5 players. You basically go around like the parks of the United States, and the artwork is just, it's gorgeous. This is a really fun one that is easy to play. It's very easy, ages 8 and up, 3 to 6 players, 30 minutes. It's called Dixit, and it's really beautiful. It's kind of like Apples to Apples, but with illustrations. So you don't get a word to go from, you get a picture and people have to guess. It's a little different, but it's just really, the artwork is so beautiful, and you can buy expansion packs to go with it. I love this one. And then these last 2 are kind of classics, but I really enjoy them. Ticket to Ride, I think everyone has played this one. I actually have 2 other versions of this game. I have the Nordic one and the San Francisco one. This is just fun. It's another really easy one to play with people. It's more of a strategy based game. There are a couple pieces and like it is a slight learning curve, but this one is not difficult to play either. And then this one is the one that we played in high school all the time. I honestly don't even know if they make this version anymore, but it's the Game of Life, except it's the twists and turns version. I'm like hesitating turning it. This one is really fun because it comes with a credit card system, so you don't have to mess around with any money, which is awesome. And then at the end of the game, the internal calculator of the thing that you put your credit card into does all the calculations for you and tells you who won. It's so easy, and honestly, like every Monopoly, Life, anything like that, it should come this way from now on because it's just a blast. I think the only downfall with this one is that you can only play up to 4 people. There's only 4 credit cards, so it is a little limited in how many people can play. But I really enjoy that one too. Board games are a blast. I think it's just a really fun way of connecting with people where screens are not involved. You're not looking at your phone, you're involved in the game, you're watching what's going on, especially games that have really beautiful artwork or are a little bit more kind of immersed in the game, you get a little bit lost. It's a little bit of an escape, and you get to do it with the people that you love. There's also a lot of games out there that are not competitive, or like they're team based, so it's you and your team against the game. There's some mystery games out there where you have to like work together to solve the mystery. There's just so many options, and I think board games in general are very, I don't want to say underrated. People play them, but I think that people don't think about playing them more often. I highly recommend like doing it as a way to connect with your partner, your children. I just think they're wonderful. I think they're so fun. So Andrew and I are gonna play a game. I think we're gonna play the Nordic version of Ticket to Ride. I'm really excited because we actually haven't played that version yet. That's what we're gonna do. We're just gonna enjoy the afternoon, and I'll check in a little bit. Hello, it is 7:12 and this cold is slowly kicking my butt, and I'm so mad. I don't want to have a cold. I want to enjoy this weekend. I'm still enjoying it, but like, I'm the kind of person, give me a 24-hour flu, I can handle it, it'll be fine, and it'll be done with in 24 hours, but please don't give me a cold. I was trying so hard to avoid this, and it's just what happens when you're married and someone catches a cold. It eventually finds its way to you. Andrew and I had a lot of fun playing Ticket to Ride. He definitely was a little confused at first, but he did a really good job, and I actually thought he was gonna win at the end, but I ended up winning. So I was planning on doing another hobby type of thing tonight, but I think I want to rest. Maybe some really hearty rest will make me feel better. I'll probably feel worse tomorrow and honestly regret it, but I'm determined to finish out this vlog strong. So we're gonna make it through no matter what. I did want to quick check in about this book. I'm not really liking it. I really don't think that I jive with this author's writing. I'm really bummed about it because I've seen a lot of really good reviews on this and people really enjoying it. I don't know how to eloquently say how I feel about it, why this doesn't work for me, yet so many other mystery thrillers, psychological thrillers do. I was thinking a lot about it, and I really feel like it comes down to her writing. There's something about her writing that is very flowery. The prose is very poetic, and because it's told from a first-person perspective, it's hard for me to listen to the writing and not find it kind of grating that this character is speaking this way. It's a way that someone normally would never actually speak, but because it's first person, that's what's happening. It's not working for me, but I feel more confident now knowing that I didn't like Rules for Vanishing, and I'm also not enjoying this one, that I probably just don't really like her writing, and that's okay. I'm intrigued by the story. I'm still following along. I will say, I watch a lot of true crime videos, and there are some things that happen in this story that are reminding me of a specific actual true crime event that took place, and I won't talk about it, but I'm wondering if that didn't inspire this book and that's where it's heading. If I'm gonna be right, I'm gonna be right, but maybe not. I don't know. Maybe I'll end up rating it a 5-star. Who knows? Probably not. probably not. With that, I'm gonna call it a night. I'm gonna get some rest, drink a ton of water, make some emergency. I already took some Dayquil, and we're just gonna rest up because we have one more day full of cozy hobbies. I am determined to make it happen. Hello. It is about 12:30 on Sunday. I slept like garbage. So did Andrew. Definitely woke up still not feeling well, so unfortunately we didn't go to church today, which was a bummer because I was really looking forward to going, but definitely don't want to be spreading around this cold any more than it already has spread. We ended up watching The Last of Us, that new show on HBO last night for the first time. Everyone's been watching it and it was so good, but we watched it in bed, like right before bed. We watched the first episode, went to bed, and I could not go to sleep after watching that. I'm not someone who can easily compartmentalize things like that. Like, oh, I watched the show, now it's time for bed. I tried to go to bed and all my brain wanted to do was keep thinking about the show so vividly. So sleep did not happen until like 2 a.m. for me. After coming into here, our guest room, and watching like 5 episodes of Full House to try and fall asleep. Oh my gosh. So that was our evening last night. I will say we're dying to watch the next episode. Wow. So good. But it is the final day of the weekend, and I did have 2 more cozy hobbies that I wanted to talk about with y'all. The next one that I wanted to talk about is probably the one that I've been enjoying the most recently, and that is coloring. I share a lot of my coloring on Instagram actually, and I get so many questions about it every time that I do. Like honestly, more than anything else, people hit me up all the time about what I'm using to color, what coloring books I'm coloring, and that's partly honestly what inspired some of this video. I just really wanted to share. So I have been coloring I have been coloring my whole life. Like, of course I have, like any other child, but I continued coloring all through high school, college. Like I have always loved to color. Particularly, I have always been fond of coloring with Sharpies. I have a whole thing right here full of them, and this is just some of them. This isn't even all of them, but I have always loved coloring with Sharpies, which was always the weirdest thing to anyone around me who would watch me color, because Sharpies are not really intended for coloring. They obviously bleed through the paper, all that stuff, but I have always really liked achieving this like streak-free coloring in a way. Pencils and crayons, I have a lot of. I have all of the things, trust me. Again, I'm only pulling out like some of what I have. I also have the Prismacolor colored pencil. Like these are like fairly expensive and like people really love coloring with these. I just cannot for the life of me get into coloring with colored pencils or crayons. I don't like having to be responsible necessarily for like how hard I push on the paper and blending and sharpening the pencils all the time. I don't know how people do it. I find that so tedious and so annoying. I think it's incredible what people can create. Like obviously the way that I color is much more limiting, but for me it's much more enjoyable. As I got older, like every year I would buy myself a new pack of Sharpies, and they have come out with some colors, but honestly their color range is super limited. Sharpies color differently than regular markers, and this is something that I did not know until I actively researched this, but there are water-based markers and there are alcohol-based markers. Sharpies are alcohol-based markers, which is why you can achieve that sort of streak-free design as long as you're keeping it consistent and you're not lifting up your pen and letting it dry out. If you lift up the marker and let it dry out and keep coloring, it's going to look blocky and it's going to leave some marks on your page. But I didn't realize that that's what was the difference, the water-based versus alcohol-based, which then led me down the path of trying to discover what other alcohol-based markers were out there. Turns out there's like tons of them. People who are actual artists out there are like, yeah, duh. But for someone who just did it for fun, I never knew. Obviously there are really, really high-end alcohol-based markers, like the Copics are I think the most expensive. Those are so pricey, but I'm assuming that they're for like professional artists. I have settled on finding a really great brand that I love. I love. and it's from Amazon. These are currently how much of them I own. It's the Ohuhu brand on Amazon. Obviously everything will be linked down below, but this set of markers is more of a pastel based, and then these are kind of like their general starter pack. I love these. They are dual tip, so you get like a chunky, more chiseled tip on one end, and then you get a brush tip on this end. The other brand that I got before this, also on Amazon, I think it's pronounced Bianyo, I'm not sure, but very, very similar, obviously, style, and it's same thing. It has dual sides. This one is a chisel tip, and then this one is actually a fine tip. It's not a brush, which I like both for different reasons. Obviously, if you're using ones with a brush tip, don't press super hard or you're gonna break the brush tip. I think you can actually pull these out though and flip it over, which is kind of nice, so you do have two brush tips to use as well. These have been, for me, such like a miracle product because it's reinvigorated my love for coloring with alcohol-based markers, but I'm no longer limited to just using Sharpies, which is excellent. Now, I do get a lot of questions about, do the markers bleed through? Obviously, yes, they do, which is a bummer. That's why I do try to find coloring books that are one-sided instead of double-sided. Bobby Goods is one of my favorite coloring book creators. She's like an independent artist. I love her stuff, and everything is only one-sided, which is really, really nice. What I do is I just slip blank pieces of printer paper behind it, use that to catch all the bleeding, and you're good to go. Obviously, there are more coloring books that are double-sided, and at that point I just pick and choose which one I like more and which one I'm kind of willing to sacrifice. I kind of already mentioned it, but I'll quickly go through some of my favorite coloring books. It's sort of like the puzzles like I was describing earlier in the vlog. It really depends on your style, what you like, how much detail, what the kind of paper quality you enjoy. Like, it's a little bit of a trial and error. These are the ones that work well for me, and I also think work well for these alcohol-based markers that I enjoy using to color. So I already mentioned Bobby Goods, but definitely one of my favorite independent artists. I mean, these are so cute. I'll do more B-roll of these, but this is her spring summer book, and then this was her fall and winter book. I just completed the entire fall and winter book, and I had such a blast. The tricky thing with these is that they're not always just for sale. She kind of does these like bulk creations and orders of them, so you have to kind of watch out for her Instagram when she's selling these. Mark your calendars, make sure you don't miss it. They sell out pretty quickly. I will say, like, if you set your calendar and your timer, you'll get one, but if you miss it and it's probably a couple days later, it's likely she's already sold out. But she also creates like stickers and stuff like that. I just love these. I honestly wish that there were more artists out there that created coloring books like this, because I would buy the heck out of them. They're just such great quality and so much fun. I love these coloring books. Another artist that I really like is Joanna Basford, who I think most people know this author. She's pretty popular. You can find these in like Walmart and Target. These are really fun though, and really good quality. She comes out with like a new one every year, and I've been buying them since, honestly, she started coming out with them. These are far more detailed, but they're so beautiful. They're so fun. They're so whimsical, but these are definitely more detailed. So if you don't like heavy details, I would stay away from these ones. Another artist that I really like, I think her name is just Airy, but you can find these on Amazon. I found this one actually one day at Barnes & Noble. I was looking for a new coloring book and I stumbled upon this one, and again, so just whimsical and beautiful, and these ones are sort of like in the sweet spot between heavy detail and not. You can find pages that kind of have both. I love these designs. I think that the quality is really great. And then some cheaper options that I also really enjoy are some of the ones that you can find on Amazon by independent creators as well. And a lot of these are only one-sided, which is really nice. They have a bunch of different designs. Again, linked below everything, but these are awesome if you want something a little bit more inexpensive, still fun, still good quality. These are really great options too. The last thing I want to quickly mention is that I recommend, if you really start getting into coloring, purchasing one of these lamps. This is kind of like a weird folding one, but basically I can adjust it. The light comes out from this top part here and it's pretty bright, and that way I can have good light on the page that I'm coloring if, you know, I'm not by a window or anything like that. This is a game changer, honestly, for puzzles too. Having one of these lights is just perfect for when you run out of daylight and you want to be able to pull something out quickly to continue your cozy hobby. So that is a wrap on one of my all-time favorite cozy hobbies, coloring. I think I'm actually going to go ahead and color for the next couple of hours. I have 2 hours left of that audiobook, so that is where I'm going to dedicate my time to. And when I'm done, I can share with you my final thoughts on the book. I'm very intrigued to see how it will go. The amount of time it took me to color that picture was like the perfect amount of time for me to finish this book. I just didn't really like it. I really think it has something to do with the writing, very similar to what I said last night. I guessed 2 very big plot twists, and while that's not impressive, I'm sure many other people have, I just don't enjoy the endings as much when I guess them, and I was a little sad about that. I think some mystery books, they set it up for you to kind of guess the ending, it's all leading there and everything like that. This one, it wasn't intended for you to figure it out. It was supposed to be a very plot twist, oh my gosh, what? And it didn't feel that way to me at all. It felt very predictable. I'm usually really, really bad at guessing surprise twist endings, and recently the books I've been reading, I've been guessing them all and I don't like it. I want to be surprised. I want to be like, what? I didn't see it coming. I think I'm gonna settle with 3 stars for this one. I didn't enjoy it. I'm pretty positive I just don't like this author's type of writing, and I probably won't be picking up another one from her, but I think this would work for a few people. And if you watched my vlog from last weekend, I read a book where there were lots of characters. It was very messy. It was all underbaked. It was just not good. I will say, on the flip side, this book did have a ton of characters. It could have easily gotten just as messy, but it didn't. So the payoff was much more worth it in this book. That's why I don't want to rate it worse than 3 stars. I think it's done well. It's just not my cup of tea with the way it was written and the things that happened. I certainly don't hate it as much as I hated Rules for Vanishing, so maybe that's an increase. If you enjoy those hometown mysteries, lots of different people and families and friends and small town stuff, you'd probably really enjoy this. For me, it was just okay. I had a lot of other things planned for this weekend, especially around the cozy hobbies that we were going to do. I was going to do some baking, and I was going to show you guys some of my favorite video games. But I think because I'm not feeling super well and I need more rest, I'm going to go ahead and put a pause on it, and maybe we'll do another weekend like this in the future, because I have a couple of other hobbies even on top of that that I would love to talk about. So we'll kind of turn this into a slight series, if you will. So that will just have to wait for another weekend and another vlog. But overall, I had a really enjoyable weekend. I did a lot of things that just really fill my cup as far as like my energy. I feel a lot of like peace and calm going into the work week from taking the time to kind of slow down and just do things that make me feel that way. So I had a really enjoyable weekend. Let me know down in the comments below, what was the highlight of your weekend last weekend? I would love to know. I hope you are all doing well. Thank you so much again for watching my video if you have made it this far. I love you all so much, and I will see you soon in my next video. Bye!